Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Monday, January 27th, 2025, and if you're anywhere across the Greater Toronto area right now, you already know exactly why we're here. Environment and Climate Change Canada has issued a snowfall warning for the entire Gita, and what we're looking at is not some minor clipper system that's going to dust us with a few centimetres. We are tracking a major Colorado low that is absolutely unloading on southern Ontario as I speak, with snowfall rates that are frankly exceptional even by our standards here. Toronto Pearson has already recorded 28 centimetres since this system moved in early this morning, and we are nowhere near done. The warning from Environment Canada is calling for total accumulations between 35 and 40 centimetres by the time this wraps up late tonight, and folks, those numbers are not exaggerations. We are watching this play out in real time, with observation stations across the region confirming these extraordinary snowfall rates. Let me break down exactly what's happening meteorologically, because this is a textbook Colorado low intensification event, and understanding the mechanics here helps explain why we're seeing such aggressive snowfall totals. This low pressure system originated over the Colorado Rockies, tracking northeast through the Great Lakes and tapping into abundant moisture from Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. That lake effect enhancement is supercharging an already potent system. The low is currently positioned just south of Lake Ontario, which is the absolute worst positioning for maximum snowfall across the Gita because it's funneling moisture directly into our region with easterly winds. We're seeing sustained east-northeast winds at 30 to 40 kilometres per hour with gusts reaching 60 kilometres per hour, and that wind direction is critical because it's driving the heaviest snow bands directly over Toronto, Mississauga, Brampton, Vaughan, Markham, Richmond Hill, and essentially the entire urban corridor. Now let's talk about what's happening on the ground right now, because conditions have deteriorated dramatically since midday. Visibility across most of the Gita is down to less than 400 metres in the heaviest bands, and we're talking about near whiteout conditions during the most intense bursts. Snowfall rates peaked around 4 p.m. this afternoon at 5 to 6 centimetres per hour. That is absolutely remarkable intensity, and it's creating significant challenges for road crews who are fighting a losing battle trying to keep major arterials passable. The Q, the 401, the 404, the DVP, every major highway corridor is reporting extremely hazardous conditions with multiple collisions, vehicles in ditches, and transport trucks jackknifed across various sections. The OP has responded to over 200 weather-related collisions since noon today, and that number continues climbing. GO Transit has implemented significant delays across all train lines, with buses running 45 to 90 minutes behind schedule. Billy Bishop Airport suspended all operations at 2 p.m, and Toronto Pearson is experiencing cascading delays with dozens of cancellations. The timing on this system is fairly well defined at this point, though we're still dealing with some uncertainty on the back end regarding exactly when the heaviest snow tapers off. The most intense snowfall will continue through the dinner hour and into the evening commute, which is already an absolute disaster across the region. We're expecting snowfall rates to remain in that 3 to 5 centimetre per hour range through about 8 p.m. tonight, then gradually diminishing to 1 to 2 centimetres per hour as we push toward midnight. The system begins pulling away to the northeast after midnight, with snow tapering to flurries by 2 to 3 am Tuesday morning. But here's what you need to understand. By the time this wraps up, we're looking at storm total accumulations of 35 to 40 centimetres across Toronto proper, with some localised areas potentially pushing 45 centimetres where we get persistent banding. The inner suburbs, we're talking Mississauga, Brampton, Vaughan, Markham, Pickering, you're in that same range, 35 to 40 centimetres. As you push further into the outer regions of the Gita, those totals decrease slightly, but we're still talking 25 to 35 centimetres for places like Milton, Georgetown, Newmarket, and Uxbridge. Now I want to expand the view here, because this is not just a Toronto story. This is a Southern Ontario event, with massive implications across multiple regions. Hamilton and the Niagara region are under the same snowfall warning, and they're seeing similarly impressive totals, with Hamilton Airport reporting 24 centimetres so far, and St Catharines sitting at 21 centimetres. The queue through the Niagara Corridor is treacherous, and the Peace Bridge crossing into the United States has reduced traffic to a crawl with multiple-hour delays. Moving east, we've got warnings extending through Durham region and into eastern Ontario. With Peterborough County getting hammered, they're actually seeing some of the highest totals in the province right now, with Peterborough Airport measuring 32 centimetres and still snowing heavily. Kingston and Belleville are both under warnings with expected totals of 25 to 35 centimetres, and Highway 401 through that entire corridor is essentially a parking lot right now. Looking west, the impact is slightly less severe, but still significant across Halton and Wellington County, where totals are running 20 to 30 centimetres. Kitchener-Waterloo is dealing with about 25 centimetres at this point, and conditions on Highway 7 and Highway 8 are deteriorating throughout the evening. The key thing to understand is that this is a widespread, high-impact winter storm affecting millions of people across southern Ontario. And the infrastructure strain is real. We're talking about emergency services stretched thin, hospitals dealing with weather-related injuries, power outages, scattered across multiple regions as heavy wet snow brings down tree branches onto power lines. Toronto Hydro has reported about 8,000 customers without power as of 6 p.m, mostly in Scarborough and North York, where we've seen some tree damage. Let me talk about the snow itself because the character of this precipitation is important for understanding the impacts. This is heavy wet snow, with liquid equivalent ratios running around 10:1 or even less in some areas. Which means this snow is dense, it's heavy, it's the kind of snow that's absolutely brutal to shovel and extremely difficult for plows to move efficiently. We're not dealing with fluffy powder here. This is the cement-like stuff that causes back injuries, that collapses carports and sheds, that weighs down tree branches to the breaking point. If you've been outside today, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This snow has weight to it. And accumulations of 35 to 40 centimetres of this wet heavy snow represents a significant structural load. Property managers need to be assessing their buildings tonight and making decisions about snow removal from roof structures where necessary. The wind component of this system cannot be ignored because we're not just dealing with heavy snow, we're dealing with near blizzard conditions at times when visibility drops and winds gust to 60 kilometres per hour. That's creating significant drifting, particularly in open areas and along north-south road corridors where the easterly winds are generating substantial snowdrifts. Rural roads across Durham region and north of the Jeta are becoming impassable in spots where drifting is filling in roads almost as fast as ploughs can clear them. We've had reports of vehicles becoming stranded on country roads in Caledon, King Township and out in Scugog and Uxbridge, where drifting has closed multiple secondary roads. Now let's talk about what happens after the snow stops, because the aftermath of a 40cm snowfall is going to create its own set of challenges. Tuesday morning is going to be a nightmare for the morning commute. There is absolutely no way around that reality. Even with overnight ploughing operations, you're going to be dealing with snow-covered residential streets, buried vehicles, massive snowbanks blocking intersections and driveways, and the sheer volume of snow that needs to be moved is going to take days to clear properly. The City of Toronto has already announced that they're declaring a major snowstorm condition, which triggers their enhanced snow clearing operations. But even with 1,500 pieces of equipment deployed across the city, clearing operations are going to extend through Tuesday and potentially into Wednesday for residential side streets. Schools are going to be making decisions tonight about Tuesday closures, and I would be genuinely surprised if we don't see widespread school board closures across the Jeta. The temperature profile through this event and into tomorrow is worth discussing because we're dealing with cold conditions that will keep this snow from melting anytime soon. Current temperatures across the Jeta are sitting between 5 and 7 degrees Celsius, and we're staying below freezing right through the event. Tonight's overnight low will drop to around 10 degrees Celsius, with wind chills making it feel closer to 18 or 19. Tuesday's high only reaches 6 degrees Celsius, so we're not getting any melting help from temperatures. What that means is that all 40 centimetres of snow that falls tonight is going to stick around. It's not going anywhere. Let me provide some historical context here, because 40 centimetres in a single day is genuinely exceptional for Toronto. To put this in perspective, the average seasonal snowfall for Toronto is around 120 centimetres, so we're potentially getting a third of our annual snowfall in one 24-hour period. This is the kind of event that happens every few years, The last comparable single-day snowfall was back in January 2022 when we got 36 centimetres. The January 1999 storm that brought 40 centimetres to Toronto over 2 days was legendary, and we're approaching those kinds of totals compressed into an even shorter time frame. Now I want to spend some time on safety, because this is where we need to get serious about protecting lives and property. If you are home right now, stay home. There is no reason to be on the roads tonight unless you're an emergency worker or your travel is absolutely critical. The roads are dangerous, visibility is terrible, and emergency services are overwhelmed. If you're already out and struggling to get home, drive with extreme caution, reduce your speed to appropriate conditions, increase your following distance dramatically, and understand that stopping distances are extended massively on snow-covered roads. Four-way stops and traffic signals that are out due to power outages need to be treated as all-way stops. For those of you dealing with snow removal, please be smart about this. Take breaks frequently, stay hydrated, and recognise the signs of overexertion, because shoveling this heavy wet snow is absolutely brutal on your cardiovascular system. Heart attacks spike during major snow events, and I don't want anyone becoming a statistic tonight. If you have a snowblower, make sure you're operating it safely and never try to clear jams with your hands while the machine is running. The extended forecast beyond this storm is actually fairly benign, which is at least some good news. High pressure builds in behind this system through Tuesday and Wednesday, giving us clear skies and cold temperatures, but no additional snowfall. We're looking at highs around 6 on Tuesday, 8 on Wednesday, with overnight lows dropping to 12 to 14. Thursday sees temperatures moderating slightly with highs reaching 3, and we stay dry through the end of the work week. All right, folks. Environment Canada's snowfall warning remains in effect until early Tuesday morning, and the guidance is clear. Avoid all non-essential travel tonight, stay informed about changing conditions, and take care of yourself and your neighbours during this significant winter storm. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because we're going to continue monitoring this situation overnight, and I'll have a full update for you tomorrow morning. Stay safe out there, Toronto, and we'll get through this together. Good night, everybody.